Simon Maddrell, here we are in the zoology department at the University of Cambridge, which was actually the original home of the Company of Biologists. Can you tell us a little bit about GP Bidder?
I can indeed. We were founded by George Bidder. He was actually George Bidder III, because he had a very distinguished grandfather and father. But our George Bidder, George P. Bidder, was an amazing man. He was a zoologist, he was an expert on sponges, but he was much more than that. He was something of an entrepreneur.
So, Simon, where did GP Bidder go to do his research into sponges?
He was actually at Trinity College, Cambridge, but he got the Cambridge table, as it was then called, at the Stazione Zoologica in Napoli. And he used to go there and work. And while he was there, he used to stay in a hotel in Naples.
And can you tell us about his stay at the hotel in Naples?
Well, the most colourful thing that happened while he was there is that, because he was working on plankton, and the plankton is collected in the day, he had to work basically at night. And of course that meant that he had to sleep at some stage, of course. So the next day he would always sleep on until fairly late in the day. And then one characteristic day, he was woken up by banging on the door at 10 a.m. in the morning, when of course he was still fully asleep. And he was most annoyed about this, but the banging went on, and eventually woke up and found that, and heard through the door, he didn't open the door, he heard through the door that there was a chap there who wanted to buy the hotel, because the owner of the hotel had got some extensive gambling debts which needed to be paid off. So unbelievably, he said, "Don't worry about that, just put it on my bill." And so he bought the hotel, which I think is absolutely amazing. Not only did he buy the hotel, but he then ran it successfully for another 19 years.
And when was the Company of Biologists founded?
It was founded in 1926, in circumstances of some difficulty. The British Journal of Experimental Biology was set up, I think, in 1923, and it ran not particularly successful. Scientifically, it went very well indeed, but financially it was in big trouble. So it had been running for about 2 or 3 years, and they were only just breaking even, so they were really in some serious trouble. And in came George Bidder to help. I guess they knew of him as being somebody who could help in these sorts of circumstances, and they contacted him, and he set up the Company of Biologists in 1926. And the Company of Biologists was set up in order to rescue the British Journal of Experimental Biology.
And the British Journal of Experimental Biology, how much did it cost GP Bidder to buy it?
A princely sum of £150.
And how did he raise this money?
He raised this money by basically ringing up 50 of his friends and saying, "Are you good for a fiver?" I got that story from Anna Bidder, who was his daughter and died recently at the age of 97, and that rescued the journal. And they got a much more powerful editorial team, and they were rebranded, as you say, as the Journal of Experimental Biology. The journal was moved down to Cambridge, where Bidder had so many roots and contacts, and that rescued the journal.
And can you tell us a little bit about the other journals that have been gifted to the company?
A few years after we were set up, we offered the then Quarterly Journal of Microscopical Science, and then under our ownership, it then eventually changed its name to Journal of Cell Science. And then later on, we got what then was GEM, Journal of Embryology and Experimental Morphology, and we rechristened that belatedly now as a single word, Development. Those were our 3 main journals until really rather recently.
And can you tell us a little about the company seal?
The company seal? Yes, the company seal is, I think it was George Bidder had got tuberculosis, and he was sent to recover a bit in Egypt, where the weather is better for people who suffer from tuberculosis. And he produced 2 Egyptian symbols as part of the Company of Biologists seal. There's the Ankh, A-N-K-H, which means, I think, life, and the Mat, M-A-T. I think that means truth in Egyptian symbolism, and we still use that. That logo, our modern logo, is still based on those 2 symbols, but I think it's done up in a very attractive new way.
Simon, can you tell us a little bit more about disease models and mechanisms and Biology Open?
Yes, they're both journals which are, in the modern parlance, which are open access.
And the Company of Biologists is a charity. Can you tell us a little about the company's charitable activities?
Now we give away £600,000 for charitable causes, such as promoting scientific meetings, helping young scientists go to meetings, and a whole range of things that people apply to us, and we support them in the ways that we see fit.
Simon, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.